Hi, I'm Brianna, and for my community health project, community health project, I chose Kirkwood, Georgia, which is located in the east side of Atlanta, Georgia, more so in East Atlanta area. It was developed in 1870, founded by the Kirkpatrick and the Clay family and the Dunwoody family, and the name Kirkwood is thought to, of course, come from the combination of Kirkpatrick and Dunwoody, so we get Kirkwood. The Clay family purchased the land in 1826, and it was said that it cost them about 10 slaves, 6 male and 4 women. Um, the area of land that was owned by the Kirkpatrick family, by the Clay family, was believed to be what is currently the west 1/3 of the city versus the east 2/3 of the city are believed to be the land owned by the Kirkpatrick and Dunwoody family. It was incorporated as an early streetcar suburb, which basically was saying that you could go back and forth. Well, the mode of transportation was the streetcars, and that's what took you back and forth from the city of Atlanta back to Kirkwood. So you can still live in the city of Atlanta without actually, so you can work in the city of Atlanta without actually living there. And a lot of people like to do that because the taxes and stuff are higher in the city of Atlanta, so they can get it somewhat of a tax break by living in the suburbs of Atlanta. Um, and another thing that made me want to pick this area is because out of 155 formerly black neighborhoods that used to be majority black, that is now majority white, it's the number one place, and it's also a place I chose because it's close to where I live. I live in a neighboring neighborhood, Grant Park. I don't know if you're familiar with Atlanta. The demographics are 50% white, 35% black, and 15% multiracial or other. Which, like I said, how I just said on the last slide, it intrigued me because it used to be a majority black neighborhood, but it's been so vastly gentrified. It's no longer a black neighborhood anymore. It's 55% female and 45% male, where the median age is 35 and the household size is 2. Most as far as the household size, most of people are families. However, there are a lot of roommate style living situations as well, which is I think a big part of the reason why the household size is so small. When it comes to income, the average household income is $150,000, and the average individual income is $120,000. 120,500. Which is, I feel like, comparing the two is kind of interesting because I feel like it goes to show, because there is such still a poor black side of Kirkwood, but it's compared to a richer side, I feel like that's why the median household is so low. Um, but it's just interesting to me how close that the average household and the individual income, how close they are. They're only $30,000 off. Also, only 7% of the citizens in Kirkwood live below the poverty line, compared to 21% in the city of Atlanta and 14% in the state of Georgia. Which again, I feel like like I said, there are still a lot of black people that don't have a lot of money in Kirkwood, but that comparatively, it's just another thing that's interesting is how low the poverty line is in Kirkwood compared to surrounding areas. The Kirkwood Health Center is a branch of Grady Hospital, which is one of the biggest trauma centers in the state, and they really focus on primary care, trauma care, and women's health. Women's health and cancer. As far as people who aren't able to pay for their own Medicaid, or the disabled, or for their healthcare, or disabled, Medicaid is an option, which I said it helps people who don't make who make less than a certain threshold of money, or disabled. Fulton County Board of Health is a big thing. Is the main is excuse me is community promotes community health, and it focuses on family things like family planning and sexual health and public health programs like make it like AIDS awareness and things like that. When it comes to education, 32% have bachelor degrees, 26% have master degrees, 17% have doctorate degrees, 9% have associate, and 14% have went to trade school. There are also a lot of there's schools like charter schools like the Drew Charter School, and there's the Ivy program for kids for elementary and middle school age kids, and I feel like those are important. It's important to know those because education is a big deal. It's important for the citizens. Also, there are no colleges or universities in the city of Kirkwood, but there are many in the surrounding areas. Um, When it comes to transportation, it's located off of 20 East. A little history about 20 East. It was created to be a barrier between black and white neighborhoods, which led to the creation of the MARTA track with the buses and the trains. And it MARTA allowed easier access for black people into the white neighborhoods, which was a big deal because the white citizens were not really happy about that, because they wanted to keep everything separate. And then of course we have things again. I just talked about MARTA. We have Lyft and Uber. Um, Average commute time is 15 to 30 minutes one way, and 35% of citizens work from home. I feel like transportation it has a big impact on the social on the health of the citizens because we don't have to. A lot of people don't have to sit in their cars all day for their commute, and which makes better mental health for the citizens. And also, again, like I said, 35% of the citizens work from home, and that also attributes to people having better social health. When it comes to housing, 68% of citizens own their home, and 32% rent their home. Um, the median real estate price for houses 787,000, and the median rent is 2,900. Again, I feel like those are attributed to the fact that Kirkwood, there are more money to be made in Kirkwood, so it's a gentrified area as well. Sorry, like I said, and I feel like that attributes to the higher prices because in places in surrounding cities there aren't the rent isn't as high or the real estate isn't as high. This is a more sought after area. Crime. There's two major organizations that help facilitate safe areas. It's the Kirkwood Neighborhood Organization, KNO, and One Safe City. And they focus on, of course, making sure that citizens stay safe. And for every 83, excuse me, for every 1,000 assault, out of every 1,000 citizens, 83 excuse me, sorry, for every 1,000 crimes, 83 are assault and battery compared to 285 statewide and 196 nationwide. And that's important to note that that's much lower than the surrounding areas. The life expectancy is 79.85. And I feel like higher life expectancy, it could attributes to better quality of life. Just because people are happier here, they don't have really too many problems. They make a lot of money, so it's better quality of life. One neighborhood walkability test. I wanted to know that it's very, very walkable, and it promotes like there are ramps for the disabled. If they need to get to most buildings, there's ramps. Even if you look at the picture in the bottom right, there's a bike rack because it's everybody's walking, everybody's riding bikes. It wasn't too many cars just riding up and down the street. The streets were super clean. It wasn't any trash just on the ground. It wasn't any graffiti. Everything was really nice. Um, yes. I feel like that there is a better quality of life in Kirkwood because due to things like better education, higher income, lower crime rate, higher life expectancy, and better better healthcare systems. Thanks for stopping by and listening to my story and my project.